Oh, we're going to do this live.
Yes.
It's going to happen.
Is that better?
Pull it back up a little bit more.
Okay.
All right.
We'll just be close.
We're going to be real close.
Yeah.
All right, you guys, we are back. I was going to try to tag you all, but what I'll have to do is if you are trying to watch us live now, on my personal page, I'll just share the live just so that I can get you all the information. This is a very important topic and a very important race. And you all know how important it is for us to have bullseye, said Maya. Okay,
yes,
wonderful.
Okay, we're good. Yes.
Thank you guys for
Thank you.
being right here with us through the technical difficulties. And it's gonna get better. I promise you. This will get better. So let me just cut right to the chase. We have with us today, and I did call her Judge Tiffany Sellers. I mean, I'm just going to go on and speak this thing into existence.
Speak it.
Tiffany Sellers is running for Fulton County Superior Court Judge. This is very important to all of us. Hey, Officer Bain.
Yes.
He said, that's my judge. And, hey, Marsha, that's better. Good. Okay. Hey, Kira, Dominique. Oh, Dominique Huff.
Yes.
All right. So, we are here to give you all an opportunity to hear from Tiffany Sellers, and we ask that you ask some questions or send some questions in. I am going to ask her some questions, so we're going to just get right into it since there was a minor delay. Hey, Khadijah. hey, John. Welcome back.
Sanders.
And so let's just cut right to the chase
it.
for the people. I'm always trying to make sure that I advocate for us to have safer communities. And one of the ways, you all, that we make sure that we have safer communities is having the right judges in place. And that's the judge that we elect. And so if you weren't aware, the governor has been appointing mayors. He's been appointing judges to our Superior Court. And in Fulton County, most don't live in Fulton County, and most have been Caucasian females. So I do think it's important to have a balance here. I do think it's important for us to have a representation of the county itself and the majority of the county. So I see you all. I can't speak right now, but I just want to say, hey, everybody, thanks for joining. And I'm about to ask some questions. If you have some, post them, and hopefully I can find them. So Tiffany, tell us about you. Who is Tiffany Sellers?
So originally, I am from Paterson, New Jersey. That is a very urban area, about 20 to 30 miles outside of New York City. In fact, the vast majority of my family still lives in Paterson, in the Paterson, Passaic, Bergen County area. And I moved to South Carolina. Well, let me back up a little bit. I'm a self-proclaimed nerd. Everybody who knows me knows I love all things books and education and school. And so I did really, really well in high school and got a full academic scholarship to South Carolina State University. So that's what brought me south.
Okay.
And then I had a great time at South Carolina State, but then I fell in love with my I call him my boo for life.
Oh,
but my
okay.
But my then boyfriend and now husband of almost 14 years now.
Oh, wow.
We met at college. And he said, listen, I will move anywhere you want to go when you want to go to law school.
Okay.
I just don't want to move anywhere where it snows. So we moved to Georgia where it ices, which as someone from up north, give me the snow anyway. But so I I graduated South Carolina State University, summa cum laude.
Wait.
Summa cum laude with the highest grade point average in political science.
Oh, wow.
during my tenure.
Okay.
And then I went to the University of Georgia School of Law. Did really, really well in Athens. I was first African-American managing editor of the Georgia Journal of International Comparative Law there, a national mock trial champion, and I graduated cum laude from the University of Georgia School of Law.
Thank you, Laude.
Again, self-proclaimed nerd. And then I moved to the Atlanta area, specifically South Fulton, in 2006. And I took a job at the oldest minority-owned firm in Atlanta, Thomas Kennedy Sampson and Tompkins.
Oh, wow.
And we tried cases.
We tried cases.
We tried cases. And so I was in Fulton County Superior Court very regularly from the time that I started practicing law in 2006.
Okay.
So that's, I guess, a little bit about my background. I worked at Thomas Kennedy for a few years. Then I went to work at a majority-owned firm in the city of Atlanta.
Okay.
Still doing the same type of work, medical malpractice, premises liability, again, trying cases.
Okay. Beth said, was Larry Blount there?
Larry Blount. He was there. He was a teacher there. Oh my goodness. He was a teacher there. So the thing about Georgia is during my tenure, there were only 2 African-American professors at the University of Georgia School of Law.
Interesting.
Professor Blount. And then we had another professor. Oh gosh, I can't call his name right now, but I see his face so clearly. Anyway, there were only 2 African-American professors during my tenure at Georgia.
Okay. All right.
And so kind of the rest is history after that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tell us what qualifications are you bringing? I mean, this is a very serious
absolutely
court. I mean, you make it to Fulton County Superior Court.
Yes.
This is where mostly felony cases are heard. Outside of that, to be honest with you, those are the only ones I've been focusing on. So I don't know what else.
They do a lot.
Cases you all may hear.
They do a lot.
But what qualifications? I think you just really told us what qualifications that you have and that you're bringing to the table. Is there anything else that you want to tell us about the qualifications and what criteria, and specifically what criteria is required to be a Fulton County Superior Court judge?
So the basic criteria is that you be a lawyer for 7 years and that you live in the county. If you are appointed by the governor, you have to live in the county at the time of your appointment. So what does that mean? That means you can live in Gwinnett, and then until the day you actually are sworn in, you can move into the county. So, if you're elected, then you have to be here first, and you have to establish a residency. But the qualifications that I bring to the table, number one, I'm smart, right? Superior Court judges have a wide range of jurisdiction, okay? They not only deal with the felony criminal cases, but Superior Court judges can marry you, and they can divorce you. They can expand your family through adoption. They can reduce the size of your family through the termination of parental rights. Superior Court judges handle all land disputes in the county, right? Superior Court judges handle what we consider to be equity cases. So those are cases that don't involve money. It's just a matter of a judge ordering someone to do the right thing. Okay. Superior Court judges handle all appeals from lower courts, right? So one of the things I'm most proud of as chief judge in South Fulton during my tenure is that we had no cases reversed on appeal by Superior Court judges, right? So I took myself, pat myself on the back. Pat myself on the back for that. But that's, again, me being my self-proclaimed nerd, trying to get it right the first time. And then they obviously handle the felony criminal cases, which I know is your is your passion. But I think one of the most important qualifications that I have is that I have this commitment to being hyper efficient. Okay. Right. So Fulton County is the busiest trial court in our state.
I believe it.
Not only do they handle all the things that I talked about before, but Fulton County Superior Court judges also handle all litigation against the state, right? Okay. So State Department of Revenue, you want to sue the Department of Transportation, all of those cases are being heard by Fulton County Superior Court judges, right? So it's important that particularly Fulton County Superior Court judges are efficient, right?
I would agree.
In South Fulton, in the first year of my tenure, we processed over 6,000 citations and we had 0 backlog.
Oh my goodness.
0. And I see Sergeant Nick is on. He can attest to the fact that we had 0 backlog.
And let me just share his comment. Sergeant Bean says, Judge Sellers is firm, fair, very knowledgeable, one of the most humble judges I've had the pleasure of working with.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Because it comes with a lot of power. And I'll be honest with you, from some of the things that I have been watching from certain elected officials. Some people can't handle power very well. And so sitting high, in the position that you have, and for someone to say that you're humble, I think that speaks volumes. But, that also comes with a gavel when you have to make some really tough decisions.
Absolutely. And I think that is part of the reason why my campaign slogan is committed to Fulton. So at the end of the day, what you want when you're looking for a judge, or at least what I want when I'm looking for a judge, is someone who understands the community that they come from, right? They are invested in a part of this community. So I lived in this unincorporated South Fulton area, now the city of South Fulton, since 2006. I didn't move here to get this job.
Right.
I am invested here. My kids go to school in the area. My husband and I, for better or worse, live in District 2. It's the city of South Fulton, right? And so, we want our community to be great. Absolutely. And I'm committed to making my community great, using the tools and the talent that I have to do what I need to do to make the community great.
Well, that is phenomenal, because we need more of that. And we definitely need it at this level with all that we've seen that's been occurring and happening. And I did share in the group with you all how you can see how certain cases that are pending right now in caseloads. And, as she just mentioned, when she was at the city of South Fulton, they didn't have a backlog.
No backlog.
And right now there's a backlog of cases. High backlog of cases. So that means that when there's a backlog of cases in Fulton County Superior Court, you have a lot of people spending more time in jail.
That's what happens.
The jails are full.
That's what happens.
So this is why we need someone who's intentional about doing their job, who has experience with having a backlog, or not having a backlog, rather, but doing. And I can recall, actually, there was a moment that we had a conversation. I remember you saying, I would love to be there, but I actually have to work. And you guys, it was like on a Sunday.
Yeah, so I'm going to tell you. And Sergeant Nick can attest to this. In South Fulton, we ran court 6 days a week. Now, I don't know what the schedule is now. I'm certain that Judge Willis is doing an amazing job.
Yeah, I think she is.
When I was there, we ran court 6 days a week.
Oh my goodness.
And that's part of how we had zero backlog. But then if something happened on a Sunday that required my attention, well, then the officers knew they can call me, right? So when we're building something from nothing, right? Let me go back a little bit.
Okay,
When I was appointed, I'll never forget my very first day on the job. I was sitting in my office, and my office was right next to Miss Ruth Jones's office.
Oh yeah, I
right?
love Ruth Jones.
And we had a little door that you could kind of cut through for me to get to her office without going in the hallway. And so Miss Jones said, "Now, if you need to use this door, you can." I said, "Okay." The first day, the mayor walked past my office, and he stood in the doorway. He said, "Judge, you gonna build me a court?" And I said, "Yes, sir, I am." "Got 40 days. I said, "I know, sir." "We gonna be on time?" "Yes, sir." "All right." And he kept walking. And the amount of trust and faith that he put in me, and quite honestly, my neighbors put in me, right? Made me want to do the best job that I could possibly do.
I believe that.
And so it was always about more to me than the accolade or the name judge, right? To build something for my community, I wanted it to be great, right? I wanted the court to be great. And if that meant working 7 days a week, then that's what it meant, right? If that meant working on a Saturday, then that's what it meant. I can recall a time that we had a situation that required my attention on a Sunday, and I was coming home from a basketball game. Everybody knows I'm kind of basketball mom. My son plays AAU basketball. And I told my husband, I said, "All right, you got to swing me by the jail. Let me take care of the situation. I'm certain one of the officers will bring me home." It was those kinds of things. And I really feel that that's the kind of commitment that we need on our Fulton County Superior Court bench.
Absolutely. I agree. Hey, Zena Cooper. So we do have a question. We sort of kind of gave you all an overview. We want to give you just a snapshot of who Tiffany Sellers is from her own words. We want you to hear about her background, her qualifications. She is super duper smart, qualified for this job. She has lived in this county, knows the area very well. And you want to take a few questions?
Yes, please, please.
All right. So let me read one. So there's one from the South Fulton Arrow Youth Council.
Yes. So I serve on the board that supervises that group.
Really?
Yes. So that's what I mean when I mean judges who are actively engaged and involved in the community, right?
Yes.
So I'm not one to say, I do this and this and this outside of being a judge, right? I mean,
That kind of sounds braggadocious.
Yeah, I'm not really that type of person.
But since we're here,
we're going to do it.
We're going to talk about this. Because like you, and I just want to make sure people understand, the group Safer Communities is about making people aware of what's happening in our community. But there's a lot of work that goes on between myself and my husband. We're engaged in the schools. We've adopted Creekside High School. And like you said, it's not something that you just walk around and just brag about. You just roll up your sleeves and you do what you can. So let's see. The South Fulton Arrow Youth Council has said, please share what your vision is for helping our young people that are at risk.
So I think part of this starts with making sure that our kids have a vision. So I was blessed. I come from two really hardworking parents, right? My dad never went to college. My mom was the first person in her family to go to college. They both worked multiple jobs so that my brother and I could have opportunities, right?
That's awesome.
Being a lawyer in my family was a very big deal. I never saw lawyers in my family, right? I certainly didn't see judges, and I never dreamed that I would ever be a judge because I just couldn't see it. So part of what I'm committed to doing is letting young people see the dream, right? I think sometimes young people are so caught up in the now and touching what the fast money, touching what they can get right now, that they can't see the dream. They can't see what hard work and time does, right? And so in South Fulton, for example, before we had a name for the program, as soon as I became a judge, I invited the 5th grade class of my son's school to the courtroom, right? To interact not only with me, but with the solicitor, with the public defender, with the police officers in a non-confrontational way where we can just sit down and we can talk so that kids get an opportunity to see what they can be. Right? They can see that they can be great. Exactly. We have had so many young people come into my courtroom from terrible backgrounds, right? But I was able to say to these young people, you can do this. I believe that you can do this. I believe that you have the potential to be great. And that is what I hope to bring. That's my vision for bringing to young people. Now, obviously, you recognize you can't save everybody, right?
Can't save them all.
Yeah, you can't save everybody.
Unfortunately.
But I think that there has to be that's where the what am I saying?
An opportunity?
Yes, thank you. I'm sorry, I looked at the comment, I lost train of thought.
Don't say it.
I lost train of thought. But that's where the opportunity exists for us, right? So that we have an opportunity to show young people that you can be great.
Right.
I am committed to doing that, right?
Yeah.
I did it during my tenure at South Fulton. I'm also pro temp in Union City, Forest Park, Riverdale. Whenever I have the opportunity to impart on young people there, I say the same thing, right? It doesn't matter where you come from. You still have this innate ability to be great.
Yes.
Right. And I am your cheerleader. Right.
Yes.
Now, because people who know me know you come in my courtroom and you haven't finished school. That's step one for me.
Step one.
Nerd. You going to school, right? I mean, we're going to finish school. We're going to finish school because education provides opportunities,
yes,
right?
It does.
So while you're in my jurisdiction, we're going to finish school.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's just not going to be
And
an
I'm so
option.
glad that you touched on education because that's one thing that as I'm in the schools and I traveling to other countries has really opened my eyes to the free education that we have here and how our youth are some of them are just not engaged. And then you go to other countries and you see little children in kindergarten on their lunch break asking you to buy bracelets that they've made because they have to pay $250 a month to go to school, and they have to wear uniforms and they have to buy those. And these are third world countries.
Absolutely.
So if we have access to free education here, I would like to see our kids become more engaged and just more involved in their education. And I think seeing someone like yourself, hearing about your story, and seeing the other side of the court, because I've spent a lot of time looking at cases in Fulton County Court, you guys, and I must tell you that it is disheartening.
Very much so.
To see our young Black men get to that point. And here the Superior Court judge says, you're back again. He's already given them a second chance. And the whole family is there. And then he gets his sentence and he's walked out of there.
I've seen it.
And that first case I saw, oh, Tiffany, that one it did something to me. And it was a case. It was actually a case that happened at the golf club, golf course out here, where there was a pregnant woman that was actually beaten by a young man. And, at that time, I was just kind of getting out of the slider crime mode, and crimes had actually infiltrated into our communities. And when I heard the whole story, he told the judge, he said, well, I got back out, got with the wrong crowd. He had just had a new baby. Let me tell you, the schools, if we could have more infiltration, more programs in the schools, we could actually do a lot more by showing these kids how not to be on the wrong side of Superior Court. Because by the time they make it twice, maybe 3 times, depends on the judge. And this young man had made it to this judge. It was his second time. And, he had already given him a second chance.
So I'm going to tell you another thing that first of all, I'm really proud of a lot of things that happen at South Fulton Municipal Court that people don't necessarily know about.
Yeah, tell us.
One of the things that I'm really proud about is that we had a pretrial diversion program.
Okay, good.
Second Chance South Fulton.
Wow, I hadn't even heard of it.
Yes, we had it.
That didn't make the news, did it, y'all?
Well, we had a pretrial diversion program, and I'm certain that they still have it now. It's called Second Chance South Fulton. What I'm most proud about that program is that of every single person that completed our program, we had a 0% recidivism rate during my tenure.
0?
Not one person who completed our program reoffended.
Wow. Why is that?
Because, I believe even in building the court, I believe that you have to look at things systematically, right? It's not just me, despite what people think, telling people what to do, right? That doesn't work. Right. So what happens is when we were building the court from nothing, it took conversations with then Chief Halpert, interim Chief Rogers, and then even Chief Meadows, right? Because you continue to have these dialogues.
Correct.
Right? It took conversations with the solicitor and the public defender.
Correct.
It took conversations, obviously, with finance and administration. And it even took conversations with elected officials, right?
Yeah.
About, listen, this is what I am seeing in the court, right? This is what I'm seeing. Now, ultimately, the policies that you all pass, that's your realm. I don't have no dog in the fight. But this is what I'm seeing, right? These are the things that I think we need to do. Even when we built the court, we started out, I'll never forget, I think Sergeant Nick was with us, then Captain Griffin. I think he's now promoted to Major Griffin. I believe I heard that, which is a congratulations to him. When we started out, when we were building the court, we all sat down together with the court administrator and we said, listen, what kind of court system do we want here in South Fulton? We want one that operates effectively and efficiently. So what does that look like, right? So one of the things that was birthed out of that is this idea of our pretrial diversion program.
Okay.
So in this program, we had an educational component. You had a community service component, because if you destroy your relationship with the city, or at the time the city, through crime, you have to repair that relationship through some sort of service, right?
Correct.
And so
it's only fair.
It's only right, right?
It's
it's only right.
Right.
So you have your education component, whether it's you need to finish school, whether you need some parenting classes, whether you need some anti-shoplifting classes, job readiness,
some drug,
all of that.
Rehabilitation.
We had the opportunity to really meet people where they were. We had a full-time person, and I advocated for this, I think in the second budget, to hire a programs and probations manager. And that person's job was to manage that program, because that's important,
that is
right?
very important.
So you have a full-time person who's responsible for managing that program. And I believe that she was, at that time, I'm not certain if where she is in that process, but she was getting certified that she could teach those classes that are offered for pretrial diversion that ultimately cost a lot of money that people don't have.
Right.
And we could offer that in-house for just the cost of the materials. Right.
Wow.
And so what we did was we met each person where they were, saw what they needed, provided that resource, and then they didn't reoffend. See, that's what happens, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we had so many young people. I can tell you one story, and I have lots of them. But we had a young lady come into our court who had been a victim of sex trafficking, and just had a horrible, gut-wrenching story. And she came in because she'd been fighting with the group home workers.
I
right?
see. Well, she had a right to be
she was angry.
Yeah.
She was angry. She was fighting with the group home workers. She didn't want to go to school. She didn't want to do whatever. So I remember seeing her. I called her up to the podium as I do everyone else, and I said, so listen. I said, number one, I want to let you know that I believe in you. That I believe you can be great, right? That you have the potential to be great. But this right here that you're doing, this ain't great. This is not how great young ladies behave, right? I said, so this is what I'm going to do. We're going to give you an opportunity to show us that you can be great, right? I'm telling you that I believe in you, right? So go out there and be great. Do you know she came back? We always had status checks. Came back in 60 days. I could not even recognize her.
Oh.
When I say clothed and in her right mind, I looked at the I knew who the person was. I looked at the calendar and I knew who she was, and I'm looking around because I know I had the picture of what she looked like when she came in.
Yeah, transformation.
And I looked around.
And sometimes, that's what it takes.
It just takes somebody to believe in you.
Yes.
Now, like I said, everybody, you have to recognize, this is part of being committed to the community. You have to recognize those that you can save and those that you can't.
Correct.
But I saw her that she had a life where people didn't believe in her.
Yeah.
All she needed was somebody to believe in her. She came back with a report card of A's and B's. I still have in my study letters from principals and teachers from young people who have completed our program, who have changed their lives.
That is awesome.
I mean, these are the kinds of things that I hope to bring to Fulton County Superior Court, right? This understanding that there has to be this balance of people, there has to be some sort of punishment for doing bad behavior.
Right.
But then, we ultimately want you to restore your relationship with the community so that we can welcome you back in.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
The goal is not to just ostracise you permanently unless you've done something that requires that. But ultimately, the goal is to say, listen, you did it. We're going to punish you for it. But then we want you to come back in.
Yeah.
We want you to come back in and to be a productive member of our community.
Right.
So that's what I'm committed to.
Oh, that's awesome. Let's look at some of the other comments. So Reginald Tatum says, Judge Sellers is the right person. I can hear him saying
yes. Hey, Mr. Tatum.
For the job. We must stop electing people that are not qualified and incompetent to represent our communities. Let's elect Judge Sellers to do this job. And of course, Sergeant Beam says, and you did an amazing job.
Thank you, Sergeant Beam.
Hey, Ralph. Hey, Henry. Hey, this is your Facebook name. I'll say it. Hey, Pink Lloyd.
Yes.
And Dr. Conti. Dr. Conti says, thank you, Daphne Jordan, for this forum. She's awesome.
Thank you so much.
Such a positive role model.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Catherine Rowell says, Judge Sellers, continue the courtroom visits with your youth.
Absolutely, Councilwoman Rowell.
That's absolutely phenomenal. The diversion program.
Yes.
Okay, Sergeant Beam, are you yelling at us?
Listen to me, Daphne. That was just one story. We had another story. We had a young man who came into our courtroom. He had some sort of minor traffic offense, but he had been in the foster care system his entire life. So he ultimately aged out. He is working like 2 and 3 jobs, lived up in Gwinnett, but he had a suspended license or suspended tag or something or another. And so we put him in pretrial diversion so that he wouldn't have a record, right? Do the community service, pay the fine, go and get your life back on track. So he comes back to me. He had everything done. Community service done, grades done, job, everything. He just didn't have the money. That's all he didn't have was the money. He has, I never forget it, $72.15. I'll never forget it as long as I live because it was that He said, Judge, all I have is $72.15. And I said, so let me ask you this question. If you give me your $72.15, how much will you have to eat today? And he said, I won't have anything. So then I was like, all right, time out. We got to take a break. Now I want to go back. And the human side of me is like, oh, Lord, Jesus, And when I came back.
Because you're still human.
Because I'm still human.
Yeah.
And here's a young man who's trying.
He's trying.
He just doesn't have the money. Right?
He's not just like, I ain't got it.
No. People, I think young people, when they know that someone loves and supports and believes in them, want to do good. Right? I mean, that's just, call me naive, whatever. Now, like I said, now you recognize that some people are too far gone. Right. For us to be able to love on them like that to bring them back in. Right. But some people just need that love. Right. And so when I came back on the bench, literally, I think it was like 3 officers came up to me with notes from people in the audience who were like,
making
we'll
donations.
pay it.
Oh, no.
And I was like, wait a minute. I mean, people were like, we'll pay. Don't tell them. We'll pay it. Just tell them to keep doing a good job. You're going to pay it. We'll pay it. And I'm like, that's the sense of community that I think that people need to highlight. That is not highlighted, unfortunately.
Unfortunately, it's not. I will say that, being on the other end with having a sister, being a victim of a shooting recently, it does something to you when you're on the other side. But on the other side of, still trying to give back, being at Creekside the other day, you can just look in these kids' eyes and see that some of them do want
absolutely
more. As I was engaging and talking about the different programs that don't require you to go to college, but they, you can go right out of high school. They just require you to have a high school diploma.
Absolutely.
You can become an ultrasonographer. You can become a radio technology technician. There's so many different avenues, and they just aren't exposed like we were in high school. We had home ec, we had wood shop. I learned how to type 75 words per minute. All those programs are gone. And so the skills, our kids are being beat to death with go to college.
Absolutely.
And everyone's
not need to go to college.
Equipped to go to college. Even my own son, who had a 3.9 GPA, went to UGA and decided college was not for him. So I think what you have is intuition that some other judges would not be able to have because they cannot identify with our community.
Well, that's because they're not committed to Fulton.
Okay, we
right.
Say
so
that.
So that's really, I think that's really what it boils down to, right?
I agree.
If you moved into the county just to take a job, you can't possibly possess the level of commitment to making the community great as someone who's lived here 10 years. It's not possible.
Impossible.
Right? It just, there's no way. I mean,
you're just showing up for work.
Absolutely. I mean, now you can develop it maybe over time, but it's not something that you bring. It's not a skill you immediately bring to the table. Right. And that's what I'm saying about having judges who are from day one, committed to the county, committed to giving the residents of the county their absolute best from day one. And I'm telling you that I'm that person.
And I believe it.
Yeah.
Okay, so my husband has wrote a book here.
He did.
He says, but the young kids now want instant money, instant gratification. They don't want to hear the work hard. They don't want to hear the work hard and you can be me story. What are some alternatives? College may not be for everyone. And I know more millionaires who work with their hands and have degrees who are now general contractors, electricians, plumbers. What other programs can we offer? So I think you pretty much mentioned through some of the programs that you offered at through the diversion program, but as a Superior Court judge, are there some programs you could offer?
So they still have those programs, but I think that it's incumbent upon I would take this upon myself to figure out how else I could partner with other programs, right? And so to your husband's point, everybody isn't meant for college, right? And so in our pretrial diversion program, we had relationships with military officers. We had numerous military officers that came and said, recruiters that came and said,
good, yeah.
hey, if you there are some basic requirements, obviously, to get into the military.
Still have to have your high school
diploma. You still got to have that
GED.
high school diploma or the GED, right? And so, when you bring us that, then we can
work with you,
right? And so it's not that I require people to finish college, know, but I recognize that either you got to have a GED or a high school diploma to go to the military. You can't get into technical school without either of those.
Correct.
To get some sort of a trade.
You cannot.
And then if college is your path, then that's your path. I mean, we had people who came in that wanted to go to the Navy. We had Navy recruiters that would come by. We had Army recruiters that would come by. And so these are sorts of relationships that I think you have to build.
Right. I agree with you. So we have Judith here.
Hey, everybody.
Hey, Vanessa. Hey, Ty Dennis. I should say, well, no, I won't say what your title is.
Okay. Hey, Mr. Dennis, whatever your title is.
I don't know if he wants to stay incognito or not.
Okay.
Oh, Miss Berry, I have got to reach out to you. Mrs. Carol Berry. Okay. Hey, Bridget. Hey, Khadijah. Hey, Penny Rogers. Oh, hey, Chief Daniels. Hey, Mary Sheffield. Michael Cuffey, you're back.
Yes.
Hey, Fifi Bill. Keisha Johnson. All right, Judge, this was really good. Daphne, some great information. I'm glad you all are enjoying it. You go, girl, said Philip.
Thank you, Mr. Mills.
Congratulations, Judge.
Thank you.
We're going to call her Judge.
Yes.
We got to get out and vote and make sure she is our Fulton County Superior Court Judge. My husband says, she did well in South Fulton, and I believe we'll be able to see the same work in Fulton County Superior Court.
Yes, thank you.
I am in agreement. Hey, Walter Galloway. My mom is here, Suzette Brown.
Yes. Hey, Mom.
The South Fulton Arrow apparently loved your message because they said bullseye.
Absolutely.
And Vicky Bean says, welp. I'm just getting caught up with your comments. So Demita says, do you agree parents need to step up also?
So I will tell you, this presents a very interesting question, Ms. Chapman. And I think that what I found is that oftentimes parents need skills, right? Some parents need skills. Some parents need resources, right? And so I am absolutely a fan of making sure that parents have the appropriate resources that they need, right? Now, there are some things that children are responsible for solo dolo, as I call it, right? I mean,
decisions.
There are some decisions that children are making, parents aren't making those decisions.
Correct.
Now, granted, parents can parent better, right? And so I think we have to recognize some of that, but children have to learn how to be responsible for their own behavior.
Correct.
Right? And so, but I think that it's through the programs and the innovation that I'm talking about that you have to instill that in children who don't necessarily have it naturally.
I agree with you. Right? And just to kind of piggyback on what you're saying, I think in the context of Superior Court, when you reach that level,
that's big boy time.
This is big boy time. And this is why I feel we as a community have to do more to ensure that our kids aren't making these decisions. Because one thing they don't show them on Grand Theft Auto is showing up in Superior Court.
Oh, absolutely.
Now, they don't show you that now.
Not with that orange jumpsuit and those handcuffs.
Oh, you want to. It looks real cool. But they don't show what it looks like when you have to show up in court and it's judgment day.
Absolutely.
And so we, as parents, we do have to do a really better job at parenting, I believe. And I think the accountability actually starts before it gets to Superior Court. It actually starts in the schools.
Absolutely.
And it starts in other places. But Demita, you and I, we talk about this all the time. By the cases that I have seen, holding parents accountable at that point, if you're 16 on a murder trial, and the proof,
it's kind of hard to hold mama responsible for that, right?
Yeah, it's hard.
But what I think we have to do, and this is why I was so passionate in South Fulton about the pretrial diversion program, right? Is because typically people don't go from I'm a law-abiding citizen till I've committed a murder, right? There generally are things that happen in between that we can catch it, right?
Exactly.
So my thought is let's course correct now.
Course correct.
Right? I would call it course correction, right? And I would say this in court. Listen, this is your opportunity to course correct. This is your opportunity to course correct. Do you want to do this? Or do you want to do this? Now,
you give them an option.
Oh, because you know what? Making good decisions starts then.
It does.
Right? Now, you have a choice. You can go in this pretrial diversion program, and we can try to help you. And you can comply with the rules. Oh, but if you don't, you can go to jail. And these nice officers over here can make that happen too. Right? So making good decisions is going to start today.
Right.
Right? But sometimes children have to get to the point where they are being taught how to make good decisions.
Correct.
Does that make sense?
That makes sense. And I've even said we need conflict resolution in schools, because I think that helps walk you down the path of making decisions.
Absolutely.
Before you react to certain things.
Absolutely.
And I know that's beyond the scope of what we're talking about.
Yeah.
But that's why I keep saying a lot has to happen where children are spending the bulk of their day. It is literally in the schools, and I hate to put it on the schools. But again, we have all of these programs and 501c3s. We need to be, this is just Daphne, intentional about the programs that we are creating, because now they have to become intentional to help these kids not make a decision to be in Superior Court.
Now, let me tell you, one of the things, and this is just, I don't know if Gary Davis is watching, but when I first became the chief judge in South Fulton, I went to a Saturday meeting at Next Level Boys Academy.
My husband, I hope he's still here, because
this is before he kind of blew up, right?
Okay.
So this is when we were meet. This is when he would meet in this small little room in Union City, and I went. I'm not a tennis shoe type of chick, but I was trying to be as incognito as I possibly can. I'll be honest, I probably didn't do very good of a job. But I went there because I think that it's important when you're building something from nothing that you understand the complete landscape. Mm-hmm. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I do.
And so I had to go and listen. So I went on a Saturday morning at 8:00. I sat there and I listened. Mm-hmm. I didn't say one word. I just listened. And listening to some of those young people, and some of the things that motivated them to make some of these not good decisions, in my mind, I'm thinking, how could we have done something different?
Yeah, absolutely.
How as a community could we have done something different, right? How?
Yeah.
And I think that image has stayed in my mind, even now, right? So even, I'm speaking it into existence when I become the next Superior Court judge.
Well, you've been called judge about 5 times here, so yes, speak it into existence.
When I become the next Superior Court judge, that image of what I saw that day was it was amazing, and it was life-changing. And I think that is what caused me to say, let's make sure that we have these resources available for young people. Some people just need to talk, right? They come from these environments, Daphne, that wasn't my house growing up. It's not my house now. My husband and I are both college educated, professional degreed. And so our house doesn't necessarily reflect some of what I saw that day. But I'm thinking, people like Mr. Davis, people like Dr. Taylor and South Fulton Youth Aero Council, and there are a host of others. I don't want to, those are the two that I am most intimately familiar with, but there are a ton of other organizations. And so I think when we first started the pretrial diversion program, we put out a call for community organizations, right?
You did.
That wanted to partner with us, right? Help us. Help you. Right? We don't have it all. Right? I think part of it is understanding I don't have it all. Right. I've seen some Superior Court judges implement some incredible programs, not just in Fulton, but also in DeKalb. Yeah. There are some incredible Superior Court judges that are implementing these awesome programs that are designed to help kids course correct. Now, Fulton has a unique situation because the caseload is
ginormous,
out of control.
Yeah.
I do think that some of that is judicial efficiency, which we'll talk about in a little while. But some of that is judicial efficiency. But I think we can't forget that part. We can't get so busy doing the actual moving of the paper that we are not really trying to change people's lives for the better. Exactly. And that's ultimately what I'm here to do.
All right. Well, let's see. We have some more comments. Sharon Brown says, good luck in your quest for Superior Court judge. We need someone like you who is genuinely concerned for the well-being of others.
Thank you.
So Sergeant Beam says, speak it into existence.
Yes.
In Jesus' name. And then Philip says, is it what is
What
it,
is it,
Judge?
Judge?
I'm not sure. What was it? What you were trying to say? Okay. Hey, Tamika, Margaret McCoy. Thanks, Daphne. Yes, Judge.
Yeah.
My husband says there are 20 Superior Court
There are
judges.
20.
Who will you be running against?
Yes.
Or who is stepping down?
So, of course, leave it to Mr.
Leave it to
Jordan to
Mr.
go
Jordan.
straight there, right?
Oh, God.
So, I will tell you that no one is stepping down that I know of. Governor Kemp appointed a judge in, I want to say June, it may have been May of 2019, to replace Gail Tucson. Gail Tucson is an African-American judge in Fulton. She retired last March, April, one of those months. And the way that the law works is if a judge retires before the end of their term, the governor gets to appoint their replacement. And so he appointed a woman who served as the assistant chief district attorney in the Blue Ridge Judicial Circuit.
Blue Ridge?
Blue Ridge.
Blue Ridge.
For the 6 years prior to her appointment. And I'm
going to say it one more time. Blue Ridge.
Blue Ridge. That's Cherokee County.
Oh, my. I have
That's Cherokee County.
some friends up there, but they have no idea what's going on in Fulton County.
I mean, you got to be committed to Fulton. I mean, I'm not certain how how you do
her
that.
caseload, I looked, it's a little high.
It's a little
She's
high.
not moving cases.
It's a little high. So I'm running against Judge Rochelle Carnicel, who was appointed by Governor Kemp. So no one's stepping down that I know of.
But she could be voted out.
You know what? We have to provide voters with education,
absolutely,
and an option.
Absolutely.
Right? I mean, if we let judges just continuously run unopposed, now some of them should be some of them should run unopposed. I'm sorry, because some of them are doing a good job, right? Some of their caseloads are low. Some of them are, efficient, moving their cases. That's what you want. That's what you want in a Superior Court judge.
But Fulton is so unique in what we have going on because of the overlap from Fulton Juvenile Court.
Yes.
Where there has been very little programming, in my opinion. This is my opinion. This is Daphne talking. Where there has been high recidivism. And then it overlaps where these kids just continue on until they, unfortunately, where I have witnessed, they end up in Superior Court. So the programming, the empathy and the understanding, that's the part of the balance. And then the other side is, this is your third, fourth time, or this is the type of case that just requires me to sentence you. That is the type of judge that we need. And for someone to have the amount of cases that she currently has, I'm wondering, does she have an idea of how to adjudicate? I don't know. I can't quite pinpoint it, but it is very high.
It's high.
And so just to hear your track record at the city of South Fulton gives me some assurance that you are going to be fair. You're going to be the type judge that listens, but also brings some balance. And that's what we need.
Absolutely. I mean, in South Fulton, and like I said, in the first year, we processed 6,000 citations with zero backlog. I just believe in getting it done and getting it done right, even if it means I'm working all day. So, yes.
All right. So Walter says, can you come this Saturday?
So I will come on a Saturday, Mr. Jordan. It can't be this Saturday because I'm going to be out of town. But I will come before the election on a Saturday. I promise.
Okay, awesome. He said it'll be good for the parents to meet you. So John says, speak it into existence. Yep. And then we have Michael Cuffey as the former chief deputy. Oh, my Lord. Michael. Deputy Court for Fulton County Superior Court. It is important for superior judges to move cases. Superior Court is more for the serious criminal, family, and civil cases. You better break this down. Absolutely. The criminal cases often involve older defendants, but the sentence must be fair across the board for those defendants from North Fulton and South.
Absolutely. Unless
juveniles are bound over to Superior Court, judges leave the programs to the juvenile court they must understand that case management is important for all to get their fair day. Moving cases is the most important judgment and part of the job.
Yep, that's true.
However, I believe more money and resources should go into the accountability courts to help with the community systematic issues. And working with the DAs and the PD's office and partnering with their diversion initiatives is also good for judges. Wish you much success. Well, boy, you just wrote a nice little thesis.
Yes, and to piggyback a little bit on what Mr. Cuffey said, the partnering, the systematic approach is what is absolutely vital, right?
Yes.
So when we were building South Fulton's municipal court, we met with Fulton County, the sheriff's office. We met with the solicitor's office. We met with Mr. Gamage. We met with all the police department. We looked at it in a systematic way to build what we thought would be something that the residents in the city of South Fulton would be proud of, right? I also agree with him that I love accountability courts, right? I don't know if you heard, but the young man, or I guess he's not young, but the man who was accused of burning down the bridge, burning down I-85, section of I-85. He went through accountability court. He finished drug court, and now he has full-time employment.
But was that a lower court? Was that?
No, that happened in Superior Court.
Oh.
That was a Superior Court thing. That was a Superior Court thing. It was not done by this judge that I'm running against. It was done by another judge. But that's what I'm saying.
But that's the discretion.
That other judge understood that sometimes some people don't. He had a lot of issues, right? And so just sending him to jail
was not.
I mean, that wasn't gonna fix it, because GDOT still had to go out there and build the bridge again.
Correct.
You know, I mean, we still had to have the bridge had to be fixed.
Well, and it was proven that he didn't do it.
Well, that's another situation. But nonetheless, he benefited from the drug rehab program,
the second chance,
and now he has full-time employment, right? And so those are the kinds of things that you can do as a Superior Court judge that I intend to do.
Okay, perfect. All right, so
hey, Mr. Davis.
Oh, Gary, Gary Davis is here. Michael Cuffey, and you collaborated well with them as well.
Yes, thank you.
We have spent, I know, about maybe the last 45 minutes with you. And I want to thank you for taking out this time to do Facebook Live. It's one of the things that I started, I don't know, years ago to give people like a quick update, insight, and information. And what I think is really helpful is understanding local elections. I mean, yes, Trump is in office, but Trump can't help anybody that comes through Superior Court. And so I believe that election is important, but to me, local elections are more important to us. They affect our daily lives. And I really am honored that you took out the time to be here with me and give these people your background, some information, what you plan to do. The efficiency is definitely missing. And I shared information where you all can see every day how cases are moving in Superior Court. And so what I would say is, how can we give to your campaign? Because
I'm running
for Fulton County Superior Court.
I'm running. And so
so wait, let me just say this. So you all, it's great that you all are cheering her on, but elections require money.
That's the least favorite part
and your
about
vote
this.
and your support. So tell us how we can give to your campaign.
So I will post the link on Facebook Communities.
Okay.
It's posted on for my Facebook friends that are watching, it's posted on my Facebook page, but I will share that link.
Okay.
I'm a bit of a perfectionist, so I'm still tweaking my website. It should be up in the next day or so. It'll be the website is www.electtiffanycellers.com.
And it's Sellers with an E.
It's Sellers with an E. SELLERS. Tiffany, like the store, right? So I tell everybody
Tiffany Blue.
Tiffany Blue, Tiffany, just like the store. Sellers. I understand it was a funeral home. There's a funeral home, or was a funeral home in Atlanta. The Sellers brothers, or Sellers and Sellers, spelled the same way. And so, but I will post the link to donate to the campaign on Safer Communities. It's also on my webpage, and it will. Also on my Facebook page, but it will be on my webpage. Shortly.
So we're gonna post that, and I'm just gonna go ahead and tell you that as for me and my house, we are endorsing Tiffany Sellers.
Yes, thank you.
There's no other choice. There's no other. I mean, there's no need to go down this path. Well, who else is running? It don't matter because I saw your caseload and you not moving no cases.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
and your track record speaks for itself.
Yes.
I mean, I've watched you from the city of South Fulton. I knew you had a lot of integrity. You still do.
Thank you.
You're very super duper uber smart.
Thank you.
Just hearing what you will plan to bring or some of the programs that you are accustomed to doing.
Absolutely.
You have the experience as a judge already.
Already.
So that's half the battle.
Half the battle.
And you live in this community.
I live in the community.
So
14 years.
For 14 years. So listen, you guys, I'm going to open it up for maybe a few more questions. And then if we don't get any, we're going to sign off for tonight. But I want to thank you all for joining. Okay, so here's my husband again.
Oh, Lord.
Mr. Jordan says, I'm hoping when you get in office, we will have another sheriff in office that can work better with you.
Yeah.
We are endorsing you as the best
Yay!
candidate.
Thank you, Mr. Jordan. I appreciate that.
Thank you, husband.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
We are, and when we get to the link to your website, we'll be more than happy to make a donation.
Absolutely.
We back up our support, you guys, with financial donations,
We
and so
appreciate
we're
that.
encouraging everyone else to do the same, so that she can continue to do the work.
And any amount is helpful. I am not one of the ones that say give whatever. Any amount is helpful. Obviously, you can give up to the maximum of $2,800. I have to give that disclaimer. $2,800 is the maximum. But certainly any amount is helpful, and I am absolutely appreciative of it.
And so we look forward to hearing about any upcoming meet and greets that you'll be
Absolutely.
having.
I'm going to
sure
have
you're
some in the city
in
of South
planning
Fulton.
phase. Yes,
and we'll have some.
you have a big county.
Yes,
So
I have a
you
full
gotta
county.
really get out there.
Absolutely.
And I agree with my husband. I mean, we do need, there's a lot of elections, you guys. So we have the sheriff election coming up. It would be helpful to see the collaboration because I can tell you right now, it appears that it does not exist. And so I am looking forward to that race as well. But hey, any questions? Anyone else have any comments? I'm going to give you a few more minutes. If not, we're going to sign off and we'll be back in a few weeks. Well, I'll be back in a few weeks to give some commentary on some other things. But I, again, want to thank you for taking out this time.
Thank you so
to
much.
let everyone know. Tell us what college you went to again. It was HBCU?
South Carolina State University.
Oh, Lord.
Orangeburg, South Carolina. The election is May 19th. I know we have a presidential election coming up this month. So presidential politics is kind of dominating our news cycle temporarily.
It is.
But May 19th, local elections. So I'd appreciate your support.
Oh,
yes.
Mom. Hey, Miss Donna.
Yes, the date of the election, Mom. May 19th.
Now, is that... I need to see if we can do early voting. I know
early voting starts April 27th for that election. Early voting for presidential election starts tomorrow.
Tomorrow. Okay, good. Thank you for clarifying. I'll put those dates up. So listen, May 19th.
May 19th. Hey, Miss Pritchett.
Hey, Miss Pritchett. Thanks for joining. Hey, Rob Rogers. Hey, do you guys have any questions for... She's a former judge, and now she's running for Fulton County Superior Court judge. Any other questions? If not, we're going to sign off. I want to thank you all for joining. And if you have some other questions, just tag them here. Yep. We'll pass them on to her. Hey, Linda.
Hey, Miss Pritchett.
If you guys don't have any more questions,
we're good.
I think we're good. I think you have solidified.
Oh, she says question.
Oh, which question?
She just says question.
Yeah. Do you have a question, Linda? Type it.
I guess she's typing.
Yeah, she's probably typing.
Okay.
I can't see it.
Let me make sure that nobody has questions on my page. I guess they would have to post them on here. She's typing.
Oh, I hear like a little small delay too.
Okay.
Okay, here we go. How do you believe criminal justice reform affects regular people? Oh boy.
I'm not certain if I understand the question.
I guess it depends.
What do you... Criminal justice reform in what aspect, Miss Pritchett? I'm not certain that I understand your question.
And regular people, I'm not sure because there's a lot of moving parts with criminal justice reform. So give us a little more meat, Linda, because I'm not sure either. And so... Ms. Appling says, congratulations in advance.
Thank you, Ms.
So
Appling.
that means we have your vote.
Thank you, Ms. Appling.
And Natasha says, thanks for this, Daphne. As you know, my sister, this is why I probably don't sleep at night sometimes, because I want to make sure that as a community, you all get the information and you get it from the source. And so I'm very glad, Natasha, that you enjoyed it.
Okay. Doesn't criminal justice system reform save taxpayers money?
Oh.
Well, that depends. Okay. So that's kind of the open book question, but that depends really, Miss Pritchett, on what aspect of the criminal justice system you're trying to reform, right?
That's why I said there's a lot of moving parts.
Yeah. So when I think criminal justice reform, I want to make sure that we are not just singling out sections of the criminal justice system, right? But that we're looking to reform it in its totality, right? So what does that look like? That means that you're making sure that you've reformed it from a police, sheriff, jail aspect, a judge aspect. You're looking at the solicitor's office and the public defender's office. You're looking at those programs and accountability courts, that you're looking at all of the moving parts, right? And that you're not just picking what I would consider to be the low hanging fruit, right? To target and pick on, right? So I think it's important that when we're looking at it systematically and totally.
Okay. And she did mention
mandatory minimums. So there are some mandatory minimums. That's a state legislator, state law type of deal. And, as someone running for a Superior Court judge, if the legislature's pass a mandatory minimum, it's not much I can do about that.
No.
Right. It's not much that I can do about that. That's why I think that getting in early and intervening early is so important.
Absolutely.
Right. So that we don't have to reach the level of having a mandatory minimum. When I first became a judge, sat in a Superior Court judge's courtroom, who just kind of taught me how, I thought one of the more efficient ones, just kind of taught me how to move cases along. And she had to give someone a mandatory minimum, and it is very hard to watch, particularly for a young person.
Yep.
It's very difficult to watch. I remember the young person, after she gave him the mandatory minimum, said, "Can I just say bye to my mom?" It was just one of the most heart-wrenching things that I had to sit through and watch. But that's a legislature's purview, and I certainly am one that believes in the separation of powers, right? So the mandatory minimums thing, I think we'll have to address in the state.
Absolutely. And so then, oh God, my husband, he says, "Hey honey, what do you feel about programs like nonviolent former felon expungement programs?"
So I will tell you, I think that we have to, you and I were talking about this a little earlier, about how we want to make sure that we are not putting people in jail and making criminals out of people who aren't necessarily criminals.
Correct.
Right. And I think that's where knowing the community and kind of having that discernment helps.
I think it does.
It's absolutely mandatory, right? But what I really think is, when you look at nonviolent felon expungement programs, we don't want to put people in situations where they can't get a job.
Correct.
So that they continue to be incentivize criminal behavior, right?
Correct.
Because if people can't
work, they can't
eat, and they're gonna commit crime, right?
Correct.
I can tell you stories where we had people that came into South Fulton Municipal Court who had stolen sandwiches out of Publix, or the hot dogs what's those sausage hot dog things on a stick?
Oh my!
We had a man come in there, and it was his fourth shoplifting is a felony. It doesn't matter the value. People don't even understand this, but it does not matter.
First time I've heard that.
It does not matter the value.
Fourth time shoplifting is a felony. Oh my.
4. And so
doesn't matter the value.
Doesn't matter with a mandatory incarceration time. And so hot dog on a stick, sausage on a stick, whatever that thing is on a stick. It was $3.98 from Walmart. And I just sat there and I looked at him and I said, "So do you recognize you can go to jail for a $3.98 hot dog on a stick. You know what he said? He said, Judge, I was hungry. And so when you hear those sorts of stories, we have to be careful that we're not creating criminals.
Correct.
Right.
Right.
And so, Ms. Jordan, I hope I answered your question.
Yes.
But I want to make sure that we're not creating criminals.
I love that. And I think that's a great way to end
Yes,
it.
yes. Thank you,
y'all
everybody.
for joining.
Corn dog. It's a corn dog. I was like, it's a hot dog on a stick.
I can't think either. Oh God!
Yes.
Listen, this was very intuitive.
Yes.
It was very transparent.
Thank you very much.
And like I said, the Jordan household endorses Tiffany Sellers.
Yes, thank
for
you.
Fulton County Superior Court Judge.
Thank you.
And we'll be posting information on how you can give and support to her campaign.
I appreciate you.
All right, thanks for joining.
Thanks, everybody.